सो हाय गाइज, आज मेरा इंटरव्यू है हिटाकी वंतरा का सेकेंड राउंड है। जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं मेरे प्रीवियस वीडियो में हिटाकी वंतरा का मैंने फर्स्ट राउंड इंटरव्यू दिया था। सो ये उसका वीडियो है एंड आज मेरा सेकेंड राउंड है। सो कॉल ज्वाइन करते हैं एंड देखते हैं क्या होता है, इंटरव्यू कैसा जाता है।
Hi Abdul, good morning.
Hey Diksha, good morning. Hey Prasan.
Hi Abdul, good morning.
Could you please turn on your camera, Prasanjay?
Yeah. I have started my camera.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, Abdul, I'm just taking a lead from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's Prasanjay or Parasanjay.
Kumar, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about yourself?
My name is Prasanjay Kumar. I have a 5.5 year of experience and working for Sapiens International Corporation Limited as a senior software engineer, and my role is a totally backend developer, and I'm working a kind of a technology Java, Hibernate, XML, REST, web service, JavaScript, jQuery, HTML, CSS, and the project is totally based on the insurance domain.
Okay. What is the abstraction?
Abstraction is a process of hiding the internal details from the user, so it will not reveal the business logic in abstraction. So abstraction will come to know just we have a requirement, just giving the requirement, but the implementation and method definition logic will be present in different classes. So abstraction is hiding the internal architecture, internal details from the user.
And what is polymorphism?
Polymorphism is ability to take more than one form. We have a two type of a polymorphism: compile time, runtime. And the compile time of polymorphism is happening like a it's a method overloading, and runtime is happening like a when we are trying to override the method.
Okay. What is the difference between a string and string buffer?
The main difference between a string we can create an object with new operator also, without new operator also. But the string buffer we have to use always new operator to create a new object. And string is immutable classes, and string buffer is not immutable classes. And a string string buffer is method as synchronized, and string is not synchronized. Yeah, this is the difference.
Okay. What do you mean by immutable object?
Immutable means once we create an object, we cannot modify the content of the object. So we can create a object, and that object will be finalized for the entire application. So we are not supposed to modify anything inside the object, anything like any content.
Then if I want to change or add something to that object, how do I do that? It is not changeable.
Okay, for if you want to change, so for changing like a variable no need to define as a final, and inside the Pojo class we have to write a setter method, so they can change it, but that will be not immutable. So inside the
Okay.
setter, any client they can change the value, but variable should not be final.
Okay. Uh, what is the lambda function?
Lambda has a three component. First is a arrow taper, second is a brackets, and third is a curly bracket we are opening. So lambda expression is just we are trying to iterate the data using some dummy data, like from we have some dummy variable. From dummy variable we are trying to iterate the data, and we want to print that value. So it's using to iterating the data lambda expression.
Okay. And where do we use stream?
Sorry, where do you use? Come again.
Stream
Stream.
API.
Stream mostly we are using to avoid multiple lines of a code. So stream is a Java 8 feature, and stream you can use for filtering the data, sorting the data, to find a unique data, and we have other option like we want to get the data into a list format, set format also. So and we want to compare, like we want to sort the data ascending descending order also, and other also we have a string feature. We have a like a we have a sorted, distinct, filter, parallel, all these things we have. Min max,
Okay.
like intermediate and
Can you
terminate
write
operation is there. Yeah.
Can you write a simple program to sort an integer array?
Yeah. Do I need to share a screen, or can I paste on the
Yeah, yeah.
chat? Okay. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. One second. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So here I'm just opening Notepad. So this data I have it. So this will give the output.
So what is this colon operator called and where do you use it?
Yeah, if I want to iterate the data from a stream, so here directly one line of code I can write system dot out double colon println. Means from that stream I want to print each in every value. So here I can use system dot out dot double colon println, or instead of lambda expression also I can use. So lambda expression I'll put here some data, curly brackets. This one. So here I leave system out print data. So, this. So this will give the output with lambda expression. Yeah. So
It's fine.
yeah.
So what are different types of actions? You can stop your
Okay.
sharing
Okay.
your
Okay. Okay.
screen.
Okay. 1 second.
We
Stop
take
sharing. Yeah. I
that.
have a stop. So video I'm enabling. 1 second.
What are the different collections have you used?
List we have used. Set we have used. I have used.
Where do you use set?
Sorry.
Where do you use set?
Set. Yeah. So it mostly we are using when we have a collection of a data, and that collection of data I don't want any kind of a duplicate value. So to avoid a duplicate, I'm using I have to use set there, and from set it will always store the data like unique data. It will not store the data in duplicate format. So if you want to get
Okay.
if we have requirement to get the unique data, then we can use set.
Okay. What is the hierarchy of exception?
Exception is a superclass, and hierarchy of we have a time exception and runtime exception. And compile time exception we have a array index sorry compile exception also we have a array index out of bound exception, and we have a null point not this null pointer is run point null pointer exception is a runtime. We have a exception, and compile time exception, runtime exception. In exception we have a SQL exception, and array index out of bound exception, and we have also like other also we have some IO exception, that is a compiled exception. It will give and runtime exception means it will give your null pointer exception, no class def found error, and other also we have that is not exception, that is error, runtime error like we can say. So that is the thing we have.
Okay. What are the different types that we can initialize an object?
What is a different type? Sorry, come again.
For initializing object, what are the different ways to do it?
For different way initializing the object. So first way we can create an object using new operator. So this is the first way. Just I'm creating an object and initializing. I'm have to use here like a equal operator. So equal operator, it will take the object, and before initializing we have to check if object is instance of a particular class. Then we are going to initialize that object. So initializing means just creating a class and giving the object name, and we can give equal to null also. And after that that object we can assign with a new operator also. So like it initializing like a two-way can do, using null also and using new operator also. So we can initialize.
Okay. Have you heard of class that for name?
Yeah, class dot for name, that one also. Yeah, sorry, one more is there, class dot for name. We can give also class dot for name, we are giving jdb class jdbc class name. So class dot for name we can give a jdb server details also, and we can get the we can initialize that one also, and we can give any particular class also. So class dot for name also it will work for initialization.
What is static?
Static is a used to especially to manage your memory, manage the memory in the application. So normally once we create a static, and that will be a static means once we create a value of that static variable, we can use as a static only, like a entire application we can use. And it will be like a fixed type of a data. So mostly this is the these two things is there, memory management and static is used to get the value as a static data. It will not change every time, while creating a new connection every time you're using static public static get hypernet connection or get something connection. So every time it will return that connection to be a static, it will not be a dynamic so
Okay.
yeah.
So
And one more point I
what is
remember.
the
Yeah, go ahead.
comparator and comparable?
Comparable and comparator. See, comparable always it will we have a one return type like a public integer compare. So public integer compare to we have a return, and we have comparable is defined in java.lang package, and comparator is defined in java.util package. So comparable always we have a one method, a public void public integer compare, and inside only one argument we are passing, and public integer compared to we are only one argument we are passing, and in comparator we have a one two argument we are passing. So public integer compare, and two argument we can use as a reference, and comparable we can use one argument as using this keyword, and other argument we can specify as a argument. But in comparator, we both argument we can use a object, and we can use to sort the data. So this is the difference. Hello.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yep. What is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot?
A spring, if you're talking about a spring is like uh, a spring is a framework, and spring boot is a it's also a framework, but it's a part of a spring. Spring boot is a part of a spring, so it's a module of a spring boot. Spring, while developing application, we have to explicitly, like we have to configure our Tomcat server. Spring boot, no need to configure explicitly. That is already defined in a Spring Boot Tomcat server. We can make it just run the main application, and we can start the server also. In Spring, we have seen there is a lot of XML configuration required, which we have to do manually. But Spring Boot, we have seen this all XML configuration is removed. Whatever we have to do, that we have to do in Java code, like a config file, and we can do all this initialization, bean initialization, we can do from there itself. So XML configuration is removed in Spring, but Spring Boot is XML configuration removed. But in Spring, we have a lot of XML configuration. So, and Spring, if you'll see, like while developing a project also from scratch is require a lot of configuration. But Spring Boot, with minimum configuration, we can start the application, and we can make it development also. So that is the main advantage for Spring Boot.
What does @ component can do?
Component scan is going to scan your base packages, like a we have multiple packages, so like inside the packages, I want to scan like all the configuration related bean. So it's going to scan your all the internal base packages, component scan and annotation.
Okay. What is the difference between @ REST controller and @ controller?
Yeah, at the rate controller, as we have seen, controller, just we are handling the request and sending the response. But at the rate REST controller, normally we are using an REST API site to map the request and send the response. So here we are sending a response in we can send a like in JSON format, we can send. But in controller, we are taking the request and sending the response into a body format. Okay, so, but here we are taking the request and sending the response and the REST controller to the response, like in HTML, like is XML, JSON, we can send. So yeah, REST API side, we are using a direct REST controller to handle a request and a response.
Okay. Is it possible to change the port in Spring Boot?
Yes, it's possible to change the port. We have a one file, application.property file. There we have to mention server.port, and we can make any changes there, like a port, any digit we can put, 4 digit, 5 digit, anything we can put.
Okay. What are clusters in Kafka?
Cluster in Kafka, actually, I have a knowledge. I don't have that much experience, but I have knowledge of Kafka. So Kafka, we have a zookeeper, and Kafka, we have a zookeeper, producer, consumer. So cluster is going to, it seems it's like I'm not sure, but cluster is going to fetch your data, like a consume your data one by one in some frequent of time from zookeeper. Not sure exactly, but I know this Kafka producer send a consumer. This thing I know, broker I know, Kafka, and how we are getting connection also I know. Cluster, I don't have that much experience in that.
Okay. Then what is a producer
Yeah,
subscriber?
producer means we have a first to create a producer, we need a connection, Kafka connection. So Kafka connection, first we need to create a property file, Kafka property file. In that property file we have to give bootstrap server, retry, acknowledgement, all these property we have to define in property file. Using that property file we have to read in Java classes, and that Java classes we have to create a one static connection, and that connection we have to create a producer. So producer equal to new producer, and that Kafka property file we have to pass. So we will create a one producer, and producer will help you to take your messages sent to the server side. So producer is just pushing your messages, and consumer is going to consume your messages and consume your data, and is going to send the data over the UI. So this is the thing, a producer is helping you to send a message, produce the data, and is helping you to send the messages, like send the data. Producer dot
Okay.
send we are calling.
Okay. In Hibernate, where do you define your relationship?
In Hibernate, come again, where I have to define.
Relationship between the tables.
Okay, in Hibernate, we have to define the relationship in our entity classes, as Pojo classes. So in entity classes, we have to define, suppose I have a two table, and that two table we have to mapping. So mapping is there like a one to one, one to many. So there, like it depend which kind of a mapping is there, one to one to many, many to many. So like one to one is there, then we have to map there itself, like in the Pojo class Pojo class A have and Pojo class B have. So there I have to map I have a first name, last name, and some ID is there. So mapping means I want to store the foreign key as a second table. So I'll do one to one mapping, and I'll put foreign ID of the first table and second table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, Prasanjay. That's all from my side. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Yeah. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you. सो गाइस देख सकते हैं कि मेरा इंटरव्यू कैसा गया है, और प्रिपरेशन करने का टाइम नहीं मिल रहा है एक्चुअली, ऑफिस का वर्क के कारण। तो वेट करते हैं इसका फीडबैक का। सो थैंक यू गाइज, फिर मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट किसी इंटरव्यू में।